Hi there! In this video is about interesting topic, which is misuse of personal data. What is misuse of personal data? Data misuse not same as data theft. Data theft is when someone stole personal data without permission, while data misuse is someone with authorization to hold the data, use it in a way that is not supposed to be. The gig person can be someone from the company, which is employer or might be employee. Data misuse happen when a person violate the agreement, policy, law and regulation of how data collected and used. Data misuse can be fall into three categories, which are commingle, is when data collected for specific reason but later on used for different purpose. Next is personal benefit, when someone with access to the personal data violate it for their own gain. Lastly, ambiguity, when company fail to convey clearly the reason for the data collection.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Hawa Shafinaz Binti Akaata Effandy, and I will present about the example of misuse of personal information. The first example of misuse of personal information is Twitter. In September 2019, Twitter admitted to letting advertisers access its users' personal data to improve the targeting of marketing campaigns. Cited by the company as an internal error, the bug allowed Twitter's tailored audiences, advertisers access to user email addresses and phone numbers. Twitter's ad buyers could then cross-reference their marketing database with Twitter's to identify shared customers and serve them targeted ads, all without our permission. The second example of misuse of personal information is Google. Google was fined nearly $57 million in 2020 by the French Data Protection Authority for failing to acknowledge how it used users' personal data. During that same time, Ireland's Data Protection Commission notified the global juggernaut of their intentions to investigate the company's use of and transparency around user location data. Its second notification since the GDPR was made policy in 2018. Lastly, the third example of misuse of personal information is Uber. Getting in on data misuse before it was cool, Uber was fined $20,000 by the Federal Trade Commission (FTC) for its Qurratu tool in 2014. Qurratu let Uber employees access and track the location and movements of Uber riders without their permission. As a result of their settlement with the FTC, Uber paid their fine and agreed to hire an outside firm to audit their privacy practices every 2 years from 2014 through 2034. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Qamarina Binti Mohamad Hatar. I will present effect on misuse information. Many consequences result from this act or situation involving the misuse of personal information. It will have an impact not only on the individual but also on society, business or organizations and the country. This effect must be taken seriously because it has the potential to exacerbate the situation. Personal, financial and health data breach must be reported, but the exact definitions vary depending on the jurisdiction. The cost of such a process including legal penalties, potential compensation for damage, and any resulting lawsuits can be prohibitively expensive for some businesses. Data breach involving other types of data can have a significant impact on a company's reputation and business situation. At the same time, our country's reputation will suffer as a result of the misuse of personal information because the country is unable to contain the situation and makes people fearful. 13 personal harms can occur and must be considered by any organization when personal information is misused or lost. As you can see in the screen or slide, the list of physical harms such as reputational, relationship harm, chilling effect harm, total expectation harm, physical harm, emotional harms, economic harms, discrimination harms, loss of control harms, lack of information choice harm, data quality, disturbance harms, and lost autonomy harms. And from this list of physical harms, I will explain about 4 of them. First is physical harm. Question to ask are like, is it possible that using or misusing this personal information will lead to stalking, harassment, or physical attack? So, to answer the first question, yes, because it allows the criminal to harass the victim if the criminal knows the victim's identity. Second, is it possible that disclosing personal information will result in threats or intimidation? Of course, yes, because the misuse of personal information can result in the threat being delivered to innocent people due to a changed identity. Is it possible that the use or misuse of personal information could lead to or facilitate physical harms? Yes, it is extremely dangerous if it occurs, and the example of personal information for physical harms is physical or GPS location, address, photograph, or description. Next is economic harm. Is it possible that using or misusing this personal information will result in identity theft? Yes, this gives hackers a great opportunity to steal our identities. And is it possible to lose productivity or time while dealing with financial issues? Yes, because misuse of personal information can lead to a variety of consequences. And the example for economic harms is financial account numbers, credit card numbers. Next, emotional harm. Could the use or misuse of this personal information cause feelings of anger, annoyance, anxiety, embarrassment, fear, frustration, humiliation, or violation? The answer is yes. All of these things are possible because personal information or data is vital to every individual. These feelings is unavoidable when a person's identity is misappropriated by others. And this incident also has left with a sense of violation. And the example for emotional harms is intimate image, physical location, information used in identity theft, health, or medical details. Next, we move, and last but not least is relationship harm. Can the use or misuse of this personal information have an impact on a person's relationship or trust? Yes, absolutely it is effects. Misuse of data can have an impact on a person's relationship because the identity is misused or used by another person, undermining trust in the relationship. I hope all of the explanations are clear and understandable. As a result, personal data protection is critical to preventing misuse of personal information. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Qurratu Aini Binti Mohamad Suhaimi. We're going to talk about solution in misuse personal information. In general, actually it's difficult to go a few days after checking the news without learning about a significant data breach that could have exposed the private information of millions of consumers to theft. Here are some suggestions to help you prevent your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. Before that, let me introduce that data misuse is use of information in ways it wasn't intended for. User agreements, corporate policies, data privacy laws, and industry regulations all set conditions for how data can be collected and used. Data misuse violates these requirements. From Australian government, they said that a central component of data security is protecting personal information from misuse and loss. The importance of measures to protect personal information from misuse and loss recently was illustrated in the United Kingdom when Her Majesty Revenue and Customs lost in the post the personal information of 25 million citizens, including their dates of birth, addresses, bank accounts, and national insurance numbers. In particular, concerns were raised that the data loss has not been encrypted, but merely was password protected. While Asia Pacific submitted that the factors to determine whether an agency or organization has taken reasonable steps to prevent the misuse or loss of personal information should be set out in the data security principles rather than being the subjects of guidance. In addition, the criteria in the data security principle should reflect the criteria that personal information should be protected from misuse and loss and from unauthorized access, modification, or disclosure. These criteria balance the role of the data security principle and those acts and practices that can be regulated more appropriately through other privacy principles. Next, let's move to the next agenda, which is to give you tips on how to prevent our personal information being used by irresponsible persons. Number one is we need to make sure there is an HTTPS in the browser address bar. After the HTTP, stand for S is secure, which means the data being sent between the browser and the site you are on is encrypted. Number two is install an antivirus and update it. New viruses are being created all the time, so simply installing an antivirus program doesn't cut it. It is important to update the program to keep up with the new and emerging threats. Number three is do not log in on personal accounts on free or public Wi-Fi, which means that there are everyday persons use and free or public Wi-Fi. Open networks make it very easy for people to peek into your activities and accounts, and the people you share the network with may also be using compromised devices. And the last one is this is the important one we need to lock our device. By leaving a laptop or cell phone unlocked is like leaving an open purse, which hackers are more than happy to take an advantage of.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurin Syazana Binti Soleh and I will be the last presenter for the slide of composition for misuse personal data. The punishment for misusing personal data. Based on data protection enforcement in Malaysia, the Personal Data Protection Commissioner (PDPC) and the Malaysian Personal Data Protection Act (PDPA), the person that knowingly or recklessly collects or discloses personal data held by the data user to another person without the consent of the data user will be fined not exceeding 500,000 ringgit or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years. Can I claim compensation for misuse of data? Based on the website of hnksolicitors.com, the Information Commissioner's Office (ICO) states it cannot award compensation for misuse of data. However, reaching out for independent legal advice to create a claim can result in compensation. Who can you make a data misuse claim against? The claims can be made against any company or organization that stores or processes the user personal information. Any company or organization using, storing, or processing personal information must follow the rules of the Data Protection Act and the General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) within the corresponding countries. You can make a claim in accordance with the Data Protection Act for several reasons such as financial loss, reputation damage, impact on current or future employment, inconvenience, emotional distress. The user can file a data breach claim if their personal information has been hacked, leaked, corrupted, lost, disclosed, or misused. They can make a claim regardless of whether it was deliberate or due to negligence.